Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, very pleased to introduce the following private member's resolution, seconded by the member for Fortune Bay, Cape Lejeune. Whereas Wednesday, November 11, 2020 is Remembrance Day, and whereas Remembrance Day is a day to honour and remember the people who have served and continue to serve Canada during times of war, conflict and peace, and whereas Newfoundlanders and Labradorians have an illustrious history of services and have suffered great tragedies in the line of duty, and whereas the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic will restrict many annual commemorative ceremonies, therefore be it resolved that the House supports veterans in Newfoundland and Labrador and recognizes the sacrifices made by all members of the Canadian Armed Forces. And be it further resolved, the House urged the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador to work with the Royal Canadian Legion and other partners to rehabilitate the Newfoundland National Memorial in time for the Memorial Centennial on July 1st, 2024, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm excited and at the same time somber in being able to bring forward this motion to the House of Assembly today. Remembrance Day is upon us, in fact, close at hand. So the resolution we will debate is especially poignant at this time. Every year at the same time we gather. Every year we express the sentiments of a world that has lost many sons and daughters through conflict. Mr. Speaker, November 11th was chosen to remember those who have lost through our history, symbolic of the moment when the guns fell silent on the 11th hour, on the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918. The end of the war to end all wars, or so they said, Mr. Speaker. In the context of years, it has been 400+ years for our own existence as a colony, a country, and province. And almost every single generation of our population has experienced the loss of family through conflicts of the time. Those who survived the conflicts, those who went to fight on the ground as a member of the Royal Newfoundland Regiment Field Artillery or volunteered with the forestry units in Scotland, served in the air with the Royal Air Force's 125th Night Fighter Squadron, on the oceans in Allied navies or the Merchant Marine, all sacrificed too much, Mr. Speaker. Or so much, Mr. Speaker. For some who took part in the most recent conflicts, such as the Afghanistan mission, the memories of the horror are still vivid, though they have come home a long time ago. They all took the memories of conflict home with them, Mr. Speaker, and I know, in fact, my first cousin, Scott King, spent some time in Afghanistan, Mr. Speaker, and I'm sure that Scott has memories of horror as well. We remember them, and we respect them. We honor them in every single town and cove, through every bay. This November, we will see reverent ceremonies that this time will be different, Mr. Speaker. COVID-19 has presented us all with a battle to be fought and won this year. We may not assemble in large groups at those sacred memorials, but when done with conviction, the 2 minutes we are asked to stand in silence on our front doorsteps will nonetheless show a resolve that, though we are separated by a pandemic, we are indeed together in spirit and thoughts of those who allowed us the freedoms we so cherish, Mr. Speaker. Again, Mr. Speaker, though not there in person, our thoughts will be at one of our cenotaphs, memorials, markers noting history's passing, where we so often listen to the words of our leaders, our faith leadership, where we listen to the stories of horrors of war and how peace was won. Mr. Speaker, in Grand Bank, Fortune, Lameline, Garnish, Burin, Lawn, St. Lawrence, and so many other communities in this province, Mr. Speaker, people of my district have gathered in the past at those monuments and memorials to the ones we lost in World Wars I and II. Monuments largely vacated this year, but still standing vigil to the memories of valor they honor. Mr. Speaker, in St. John's, where the Provincial Memorial is erected, the National War Memorial on Duckworth Street stands, statue looking toward the Narrows, looking east to where our lost lay in foreign soil. It is this memorial to all who were lost. Our memories harken back to ceremonies and parades of the distant and not so distant past, with one reoccurring theme: we will honor and we will remember. It is here that over solemn waters we remember the loss on the ocean in the longest battle of World War II, the Battle of the Atlantic, Mr. Speaker, where sometimes under sunny skies, sometimes under gray skies, we remember those lost in the fighting in the air over Britain or in the skies over Europe, where so many were lost to the night, Mr. Speaker. It is this memorial on which we all reflect in ceremonies we have attended in person, or on radio, or TV for those who are shut in, Mr. Speaker. It is this memorial our hearts are tied to. It is this memorial that brings us all together as one, Mr. Speaker. This National War Memorial was officially dedicated and opened to the public in a huge ceremony on July 1st, 1924, just a few short years after losing so many of our sons and daughters in Beaumont Hamel. It was two associations of the day that began the project of remembrance on the Kings Beach area of Water Street. The Great War Veterans Association and the Newfoundland Patriotic Association worked hard to put together a committee for design and fundraising. This is a place where we gather, Mr. Speaker, 5 times a year to gather and to remember. On April 25th, the date of commemoration of the Gallipoli Offensive in World War I. The first Sunday in May, when the Battle of the Atlantic is commemorated. On July 1st, Memorial Day, when we remember the horror of the Battle of the Somme at Beaumont Hamel. The third Sunday in September, Mr. Speaker, when we commemorate the anniversary of the Battle of Britain. On November 11th, again, Armistice Day, the anniversary of the official end of World War I. The importance of the memorial is ingrained in the memories we have of somber days past, Mr. Speaker. It is a testament to the sacrifice for others, and always will be a cornerstone of our being. For it is here we come together as a province to remember our past and show our appreciation for their sacrifices for the future they wanted us to have, Mr. Speaker, all at a cost. The War Memorial, as we know it, is tired. It still stands, reverently facing to the eastern passage of the Atlantic, still guards the entrance to our capital. One lasting landmark dedicated to the remembrance of those who gave so much, Mr. Speaker. This monument has weathered the storms that have blown in through the Narrows, as our own sons and daughters weather the storms of aggression thrust upon them in so many conflicts. This monument needs to be well looked after. It needs our help as a people to make it last another 100 years, Mr. Speaker, to hold up high the torch, that torch that was handed down to us years ago, Mr. Speaker. We believe in the strength of those who served and serve today, those who continue to serve, Mr. Speaker. We believe in recommending the government help preserve a piece of our memorabilia for future generations, and to work with groups such as the Royal Canadian Legion in rehabilitating what we know as a National War Memorial on Water and Duckworth Streets, to help us preserve the memory of those who went before us, who gave the ultimate sacrifice for us, for those who follow in their footsteps, Mr. Speaker. We recommend the government help in getting these groups together to do the work on behalf of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians as a project to pull this province closer together in time for the 2024 centennial celebration of the memorial. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.